Spotlight.
This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring a discussion on strengthening bilateral relationship between India and the European Union. The participants are Anil Wadhwa, former ambassador, and Gaura Dhawanlal, anchor.
Today, our program will focus on India-EU bilateral relations set against the backdrop of the visit of the high-level delegation of the European Union College of Commissioners. Please join me in welcoming our guest on the program today, Ambassador Anil Wadhwa. Ambassador Wadhwa, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure and a delight to have you here with us today. So recently, and I think a lot of focus has been put in terms of India's foreign policy, in terms of different conversations, which not only ambassadors, but our dignitaries and our political leaders have had across the world, the focus on global cooperation, on building partnerships, on building collaborations. And we also know that a high-level delegation of the European Union College of Commissioners, led by the European Commission President, Her Excellency Ms. Ursula von der Leyen, is on a visit to India. And of course, she has, in this visit, very categorically stated how important and unique this position is in terms of the position. In fact, in her address, she has also said that how the European values this relationship with India, why this visit is so historic. So before we dive into the program, let's hear a bit about what she has to say.
I'm here today with the whole College of Commissioners, and indeed it is our first visit outside Europe since we took office in December. And this shows how much we value our partnership. We want to take it to new heights. India is a like-minded friend. We are the two largest democracies in the world. And under your leadership, Prime Minister, it has been thriving. We are bound by shared convictions and values. From resilient supply chains, we are shared interest to a free and open Indo-Pacific. We're working together.
Ambassador Wadhwa, we do of course know that the European Union is India's largest trading partner in goods and a significant percentage of services too. Now, of course, there are trading issues and a lot has been spoken, but keeping the current global scenario in mind, how do you think this visit is of significance?
I think the emphasis on a free trade agreement has been the highlight of this particular visit. As we know, India and the European Union have been talking about a free trade agreement for a number of years now, from 2007 to 2013, when the effort was given up for a while, and then back in 2021, when this whole effort was revived. And since then, we've had as many as 15 rounds of negotiations. But the progress has been slow due to various reasons and varying interests of the differing members of the European Union. And also because of the fact that there was a lack of political will, so to speak, from the part of the European Union. In today's circumstances, however, when the equation, the transatlantic equation is changed and the European Union is looking for new partners, diversification of its trade and investment. So the proposal for a future free trade agreement with India has now become much more in focus. And that is the reason why Ursula von der Leyen today, speaking, in the press conference and also earlier at a think tank, announced that the European Union will be focused on this agreement and has given directions to its negotiators to try and finish this agreement by the end of this year and to surprise the rest of the European Union. Now, that's a very significant announcement because this is what India has been waiting for. On India's part, there has been a very keen interest in this FTA because European Union is a big market. It's also a very important trade partner, investment partner, as you yourself pointed out. And along with this, we've also decided today to focus on the bilateral investment agreement and also the GI agreement, which is, three kinds of agreements moving together. So by the end of the year, if we can achieve this, it will be a very big, important step indeed between the relationship between EU and India.
You also do feel that this is also reflective of how the international community is seeing the future of India and, of course, a part of their future in how India grows and develops?
Yes, I think because of the economic and trade partnerships that India has forged in recent years, and also the steps that the government has taken to open up the economy in order to boost manufacturing and also to make sure that there is a technology infusion into the economy. That is something which is noticeable. India has made a lot of progress also in the new age industries like AI, for instance. And again, that was a focus of the conversations yesterday and today when this delegation was in India. Both sides have announced that they will focus on technology and innovation and trusted supply chains, and also the fact that they would encourage research between on EV batteries, marine plastics, and green hydrogen, which are all steps towards the future. Sustainable urban development, which is badly needed in India, is also a very important focus of attention, at least as far as India is concerned. And again, the EU's focus on doctoral education and training, for instance, as far as Indian students are concerned, and focusing on more scholarships for talented Indians in the EU. That's again preparing for the future. So overall, I think the focus is on clean technology, on high performance capacity, and also on digital public infrastructure.
In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his address has foregrounded the cooperation, particularly in 2025, in fact, looking at the future. And of course, we have an old history and a good relationship for 20 years. This partnership has gone. We are entering the third decade. But his focus has been, of course, on 2025 and the future roadmap. But in that in particular reference, and which is his favorite area of conversation and even of, I think, advocacy, is about youth power, about young people, about innovation. To share with us a little bit about how this focus will really benefit, particularly from this visit, and how we're seeing it pan out in 2025.
हमारे बीच एकेडेमिया, रिसर्च और इंडस्ट्री पार्टनरशिप बढ़ाने पर भी आज नई सहमति बनी है। मेरा मानना है कि इंडियाज यंग टैलेंट एंड यूरोप से इनोवेशन कैन टुगेदर क्रिएट लिमिटलेस पॉसिबिलिटीज। हम ईयू की नई वीजा कैस्केड रेजिम का स्वागत करते हैं। इससे भारत के टैलेंटेड युवाओं की एबिलिटी को बेहतर मोबिलिटी मिलेगी।
Your views, Ambassador Wadhwa.
That's a very good focus. We were discussing about the focus on Indian students and, of course, the MSCA focus, which is the scholarships focus in Europe, and the program for doctoral education and postdoctoral training. Those are all steps which are taken keeping in mind the future of Europe and India in some new emerging technologies. Because unless you tap and train people in those areas to work on joint projects between India and Europe, it's only then that you can make this rapid progress and also keep to the time frame that both sides have set for themselves. I know that it's a big ask to talk about AI development between the two countries in a short time frame, but we also heard from the EU Commissioner this morning that he wants to focus in particular on the startup tie-ups between India and Europe. This is the first time that we are hearing this from the European Union. And then yesterday, when in the context of the Trade and Technology Council, there was a big focus which was given on digitization, on green energy and trade, and also the new avenues of semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and 6G communications. Now, all these required a very trained workforce, which is au fait with what is happening in Europe as well as in India. The first requirement for that is a visa regime which does not hamper that mobility. So therefore, this emphasis on the visa cascade program, refining of that program, in fact, in 2025 becomes very important.
Right. It's interesting. So what I'm hearing you say earlier when you were answering this last question, was that India as a hub of entrepreneurship, what we call our ability for startups, for the ability to generate more employment. And I think that is something which could actually get a leg up and a boost. And particularly the EU also looking at this as an area where they would also want new growth and development. And maybe for us, now we're wanting research and development. India is putting in more money, but this has traditionally been a sector we've not really focused too much on, and European Union has focused a lot on R&D. So this technology exchange and this entrepreneurial skill exchange, I think this would be a to and fro movement.
The European Union has been concentrating a lot on R&D development for many years now. In India, it's a recent phenomena, which has only started about 5 or 6 years ago in all earnestness. And then we also started focusing upon patents, for instance, around the same time. But it's made very rapid progress. And we can see this exchange happening with countries like Australia, for instance, where there is a bilateral program which has really taken off as far as startups are concerned. The startup hubs that we have also led to a number of countries now investing in India in GCCs. That's because there is talent available. There is young people who are actually more interested in working in these fields rather than 9 to 5 job, which was considered to be the in thing in the past. But there is this new generation of Indians who are actually driving this evolution in India. And that's why the government has also decided now to ensure that there is much more money which is available for R&D, at least in focus areas like pharmaceuticals, for instance, where we've seen a big announcement just yesterday in terms of India becoming totally self-sufficient as far as the supply chains are concerned and without any dependence whatsoever on any other country.
And that's quite big because we do have the capacity to produce pharmaceuticals. We have actually shown the world that we are up to it. And I think it is a sunrise industry now when you look at, the situation across the world, the seamless ability of goods and services to move across nations. And this is a great opportunity for India.
I think it's a great opportunity. So, in the context of what has happened with the European Union over yesterday, and I think we are firmly on the right track with regard to our cooperation in all these areas in research for EV batteries on marine plastics and green hydrogen, the sustainable urban development, for instance, and at the same time, technology and innovation focus. Of course, we need an FTA, but as long as we have an investment agreement in place, we have a GI agreement in place, I think all these investments from the EU into India will also get a boost. And we should not forget also that as far as clean technology is concerned and the high performance computing is concerned and digital public infrastructure is concerned, there's a lot to give and take between EU and India. In clean technologies and high performance computing, of course, the European Union is much ahead of India at the moment. But in digital public infrastructure, for instance, and the AI work that is going on, India is absolutely matching the European Union at the moment, which is realized, as you can see from these statements which were made today.
We'd like your views on a sector really not, discussed a lot, because when we look at defense and security, I think there are other countries and continents that we look for. India is traditionally partnered with, some of the smaller nations, but primarily we go with the bigger ones. Defense and security cooperation, the working arrangement between CBI and Europol, and all this. How do you see this panning out?
I think that's been going on for quite some time, that kind of cooperation. Indian Navy, for instance, has been in regular patrols in the Arabian Sea and in the Gulf of Aden, for instance, with the European Union. But I think a very important announcement was made today by Ursula von der Leyen while speaking at a think tank this morning, when she said that we are firmly focused on the future security and defense partnership with India on the lines of what the European Union has with Japan and South Korea. So that also includes cyber technologies and counterterrorism, and at the same time, Indian participation in defense cooperation projects in India, which she said that India has been interested for quite some time. So if you combine that with the focus that she also placed on space and drones along with cybersecurity, then I think we have a good package going forward. If we can work on these fields, then the bilateral cooperation and the joint ventures that can happen between India and the European Union will be extremely good for the self-defense of India and also for the technology infusion that we need in the defense sector in this country.
So with the firm belief that may this partnership go from strength to strength, Ambassador Wadhwa, thank you so much for coming on to our program today.
Thank you very much.
You were listening to a discussion on strengthening bilateral relationship between India and European Union. The participants were Anil Wadhwa, former ambassador, and Gaura Dhawanlal, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on a YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.
Spotlight. Spotlight.